Hello and welcome back to the Knitting Paige channel. If you're new here, my name's Paige and I am the face behind this channel. So today I am going to talk to you about my November knitting plans. And before I get started into my plans, I will let you know what I'm wearing because sometimes I forget to do that, especially if it's not a podcast episode and I'm not wearing like a newly finished object, but this is my blouse number 1. It is my like summer version. I knit it in Tin Line by Sandnes Garn, and I knit it in this dusty lilac color. I absolutely love this piece. It is one that I wear frequently. The one caveat is I did a yarn change in the front of my piece, and there's a little impurity here, and that's like my one little regret I have about this piece, but I can live with it. I really don't want to take it all out and switch where I join the yarn. So yeah, okay. Today I'm going to talk to you about my November knitting plans. And I like to do a monthly knitting plan video. I think it's nice to share ideas all in one place about what I plan to knit, as well as for me to sit down at the end of each month and kind of go, okay, like, where am I at? Where do I want to go? So, some themes for this month are clear my needles. I have a few WIPs on ice that I'm hoping to bring back into my repertoire this month and clear the needles. I know I have a lot of projects that I would love to cast on, but I'm gonna really try to be disciplined, especially with big garments, and just finish what I start and work on these 2 garments, one of which you have never seen before, and I will get to that later. But I just want to clear the needles, and I also, if you've watched I think it was my October favorites video, I talked about vests, and so the couple garments that I'm casting on this month are going to be vests, both of which are using up some stash yarn, one of which is going to be my contribution to the Great Canadian Make-Along hosted by Woolsey Knitting, and I forget who the other, who she's collaborating with, but I'll get to that in a moment. And then I also have a decent number of accessories and smaller pieces planned, A, to use up some stash, and B, just because I feel like I lost some mojo in September, I gained it back, I want to knit a lot of stockinette, and now I'm really craving like textured knits, and so I think some of my accessories allow me to have that mindless stockinette so that I can have it for social knitting, but I really want to work on some textured knits, which is one of the projects I put on ice. So let's get started. The first thing I want to knit is a vest, and this is one that I talked about in my October 321 video. It is the Lonely Leftovers vest by Wool and Beyond, and I love the look of this vest. I love the play with like garter stitch. I think that we're kind of seeing a resurgence in garter stitch being more mainstream and not only coveted as like a beginner stitch. I think this vest, in its ideology of using up leftovers, is a great idea to have some utility as a garment. I am using up some stash yarn, but they're not leftovers. My vest is going to be a more coherent piece with only 2 colors, and I will show you what it is. So, I bought a whole bunch of Drops Air last year during the Alpaca Party sale that Drops hosts from Wool Warehouse, and I've knit this sweater vest out of Drops Air, and I absolutely love the lightness of it, the slight fluffiness of it, and so I ordered a whole bunch of Drops Air in the color Pearl Gray. And it has been sitting in my stash for like over a year, around a year now. And I just haven't really thought of the perfect sweater to knit with it. Drops Air can pull and it is a little finicky to work with compared to like a woolen spun worsted weight or woolen spun Aran weight. This is Aran weight. It is a blown yarn though, so you get a lot of meterage per 50-gram ball. I believe you get 150 meters per 50 grams. So I believe I bought 6 or 7 of them. Anyways, I'm not going to be using all of them in this project, but I wanted when I saw the Lonely Leftovers vest and like kind of where I've been craving, I really wanted neutral vest. And for me, I have always gravitated towards grays. And so I knew I had all this pearl gray Drops Air in my stash. I didn't want to have to go out and buy new yarn for this vest because I was like, oh, I already have some in stash. And the Lonely Leftovers vest is knit at 6 millimeters. And so I knew that I would probably have to hold an additional yarn with this Drops Air to get it to the gauge that I want. And I have a gauge swatch. And so this is Drops Air in this pearl gray color, held with Drops Alpaca, which I also purchased last year, to get a nice texture, the perfect gauge. It meets the I think it's 14 or 15 stitches per 10 centimeters. This is also sitting in my stash. I have 3 balls of this alpaca yarn. I bought it before I really understood fiber composition and the pros and cons of different fiber types. I have always loved alpaca. I think it's so soft and I don't have any irritation to it. But I was going to knit like a camisole number 5 with this yarn, and then as I've grown in my knitting experience and my knitting knowledge, I realized a camisole and 100% alpaca yarn was probably not going to be the play, and I wouldn't really have a lot of utility out of it. So it's just been sitting. And I was like, perfect. They're both light gray. I held them together. The alpaca adds like a bit of structure to this blown yarn, which I really love. And they go perfectly together. It's probably going to use up all of my alpaca, which is great. And then I'm going to use up probably 3 or 4 of my pearl gray yarn. And so I don't think I will have enough alpaca to do the piping in the Lonely Leftovers vest, but I do have 2 balls of Drops Air in this white color, and I ordered this when I ordered the yarn for my queen sweater. I wasn't sure if I was going to throw in some white stripes there as well. I decided against throwing in white stripes and just stuck to the traditional navy, gold and red color. So I have 2 balls of this Drops Air. My plan is to hold it double for all of that beautiful I-cord edging and the I-cord ties. And I think that the solid garment in this beautiful gray color, and both yarns have some texture and some depth due to the heathering. Having the white piping on the side I think will be a nice subtle contrast, while also using up a decent number of this white Drops Air that I really didn't have an idea to do with. 2 is kind of an odd number, and because this yarn is so like light and delicate, it wouldn't really make like a good hat in my opinion. And 2 is just so, yeah, just kind of that awkward amount. And so hopefully holding it double, I can use up all, if not almost all of this, and then throw the rest of it into an excavation blanket or a future leftover project. So the Lonely Leftovers vest, I think once I allow myself to work on it, it'll fly off my needles due to it being at a large gauge, due to it being at garter stitch, and due to it being a vest. There's no sleeves. I get trapped on Sleeve Island more frequently than I'd like to admit, but I'm so excited to have this, and I'm actually, one of my friends asked me if she could pay me to knit a garment, and I was like, how about this vest, and we can be matching. And so we're gonna go to the yarn store later today. Actually, today is Sunday, October 29th, and she's gonna pick out some yarn, and I don't think I will regret knitting her a garment, and I think because it's this vest, it'll be one that can fly off the needles and one that can also be social knitting. Anyways, this vest is beautiful. I'm excited to have it, and I'm also excited, I'd love to do like a leftover version at some point, but I'm trying to kind of hold off on doing a lot of leftover projects. I do love the like random color craziness, which you'll see in my excavation blanket. I've been working on it in my next podcast episode. It's super fun and crazy, but I think I would like some more subtle pieces that are just a bit more wearable. So I think this one will be extremely wearable. I like the light gray. It goes with a lot of what I have in my wardrobe already, and excited to use up some stash yarn for this project. So that is the first plan. I will also say for the garments, I don't necessarily have to finish any of them in this month, but I would just like to work on them and make some progress. So, okay, the next project that I want to work on is an accessory. And so I just have a little sticky note with my plans, and they're kind of in a random order, and I'm just going to roll with it. But the next project I want to work on is the Houndstooth check mittens, and this is ad sponsor. This is yarn that I received from Hobby for their Candyland project, and so I got offered to be part of this challenge, Candyland challenge, in the summer when I was still very much obsessed with POP and pink, and I still love the pink. But the theme of the challenge is to do like Christmas colors or just like bright, fun candy colors. And I was like, pink is so bright and fun. And I think it'll be a nice jewelry of the winter for me moving forward, and white and pink will match all of the coats that I have. So I ordered their Friends wool, which is an 100% worsted weight wool. I ordered it in this color number 47, which is this beautiful bright pink. And then I also got one ball of, again, Hobby Friends wool in the color number 1. And this will be my dominant color, and this will be the accent color for these beautiful mittens. Part of the project or the challenge is to pick a free pattern or design a pattern yourself to share. And so I was like, I don't really feel like designing anything, so I'm gonna pick a free pattern. I've been kind of craving some color work. You'll see that again in another plan that I have this month. And I thought these mittens would be super cute. I need to knit more mittens, and so this will force me to knit a pair. I also, part of the theme is also like sparkles and fun because it's Christmas, and so I ordered, oops, one of the labels fell off, but this glitter deluxe in a fun pink and like a nice clear iridescent color that I'm gonna hold as a additional strand, kind of like mohair, while I knit the mitt, so that hopefully they can have a little bit of sparkle in them and kind of just be like a really fun, cheery, festive knit, and something that it'll be my shiny little jewelry, my winter jewelry with these cute little mitts. So I have not started these. November 3rd is when like the challenge officially starts, and so I think I will cast on them then. I've been experimenting with 2 at a time sock knitting. Absolutely love it. I'm tempted to do 2 at a time for these mittens. The only thing I have is that I would have to cake up this essentially thread so that I can have 2 balls of it going for each mitten for each color. And I don't know if I want to do that or if I'll just suck it up and do 1 at a time and really fight my second mitt syndrome. But Hobby gifted me all of this yarn. They also gifted me some cute little stitch markers. But this is the Houndstooth check mittens in this super fun pink with a gorgeous, nice white contrast. So thank you, Hobby, for sponsoring and gifting me this wool. I cannot wait to have these mittens. I think they'll be so fun. And I feel like Houndstooth is something that is always kind of, it's maybe not like the biggest whatchamacallit, like the biggest trend of the time, but I feel like it's just like a classic pattern that is repeated time and time again throughout the decades for fashion. So anyways, excited to knit these mittens. I just need to ward off my second mitten syndrome or second sock syndrome. And yeah, I think these will be so lovely and so fun. And it is a free pattern as well, so if you are inspired by this or have some random leftover yarn in your stash, feel free to also knit yourself a pair or if you want to experiment with color work for the first time. 2-stranded color work in the round is quite easy compared to, I did a mitten with 4 strands at once and it was like chaos trying to manage all the different yarns. So that's my second plan for November, is to knit those mittens. I forget the end date of the knit along or the challenge, but I know I'll have more than enough time to knit them, and again, just like a nice little project I can work on here and there. And it's a nice, easy, repetitive color work chart, and so I know I will be able to memorize it after a couple repeats. So on the theme of color work, this was a very spontaneous decision to start, and I was actually so excited I casted them on. And so my plan is to finish these in the month of November, and the pattern I'm talking about is the pressed flower socks. So I went into my stash and I wanted to use up some of my sock yarn. And so here's the beginning of them. The blue is Mondim in the colorway, I forgot where the tag went, but I can add it in the description box below. And the super, I don't know how well you can see it, I'll come a little closer. Hopefully that was in focus. The contrast color that I'm using is locally dyed yarn from All Dyed Up, which is a local dye company in Kingston. This is in the colorway Tinkerbell. I have knit a Sophie scarf for my mom out of this for Mother's Day. Our cat, my childhood cat, passed away this year and her name was Tinkerbell, so nice to have a pair of socks with her in it. And I love just I love all of the pressed flower patterns, but I guess the reason I should say why I'm casting this on is because Young Folk Knits, I believe. There's two, I honestly forget who are the knitfluencers or people that are hosting this knit along, but it's the I Can Buy Myself Flowers knit along, you know, like the Miley Cyrus song, I can buy myself flowers, I can talk to myself for hours. That whole song, the I Can Buy Myself Flowers song by Miley Cyrus, is like the name of the knit along. And I love that song. I would like jam to it, run to it, and then the theme of this knit along is to have knit a pressed flowers pattern. So I was like, I might as well see if there's something small I could knit for the pressed flowers, because I just think it's such a beautiful motif, and like I have admirations of doing the shawl one day, but that day is not today. Anyways, I saw that they had a sock pattern, and I've been trying 2 at a time socks. I successfully knit one pair that I'll talk about in my podcast that should come out at the end of the week. And I love 2 at a time socks. It was so nice to cast off and be like, bam, I have a pair, no second sock syndrome. So the yarn management's a little wild, but these I'll just slowly work on. I think it's super fun. The mosaic knitting is a new technique to me. Mondim is a new yarn to me. I know I've heard mixed things about it, and its durability, but we're gonna try it out. We've committed. I thought the colors complemented each other nice, and yeah, that is my plan, is to work on these socks. It's funny, I got these like the Doc Marten Carlsons, and I call them my fancy Crocs. They're not made by Crocs, but they have like the little flap at the end to go like to chill mode to sport mode. And with teaching, I've been struggling with finding comfortable professional looking shoes, and I saw these and I was like, oh my gosh, those look perfect, because with a pair of trousers you can only see the front, which is this beautiful suede plain front of the foot. But I was like, if I wear a pair of shoes that are like kind of fancy but they give me blisters, I can just flip the strap up and still have a very functional pair of shoes that is still work appropriate to wear, where I don't have to have something touching my heels if I get a blister there. And the other lovely thing about these shoes is that they do a great job at showing off hand knit socks. So I'm going to be working on my sock collection throughout the course of this fall and winter. But these are the first these are my first colorwork socks, and I'm loving them. Obviously, I'm not very far into them, but loving 2 at a time. Love experimenting with. This is my first time doing 2 at a time cuff down socks. First time working with Mondim, first time doing mosaic knitting, so very fun and such a fun concept of a knit along that I can buy myself flowers, press flowers, like absolutely love it. So yeah, there's my knit along contribution. Okay, and speaking of knit alongs, this next project is also for a knit along. This is a swatch for the Amy Slipover by Garn, and I have loved this pattern since I saw it, and the yarn store that I know sells Garn booklets, they ran out of stock in the summer, and I sent them a DM on Instagram, and I was like, will you be restocking the 2202 Garn booklet? And they were like, yeah, we have some coming in and we'll message you when it's back. So it is back. I ordered it. It arrived. And I bought this yarn. So this is for the Great Canadian Make-Along. And this is Lichen and Laced Rustic Heather Sport, which is in 100% Canadian wool. It's grown in Canada, it's milled in Canada, it's dyed in Canada. This is in the colorway Smoke, and it's 50 grams per 100, that's not 100, 215 yards, or around 198 meters. And this, I love a rustic wool, like absolutely obsessed. It is a single ply yarn, I want to say. It blooms so nicely. I think that it's like, honestly, with the mohair, I don't think it irritates me like at all. I feel like I could like rock a cowl with it if I wanted to, but which is good, I guess, because the Amy Slipover does have that like tall mock neck style. But I bought this yarn last year as well, and I got it from the Knit Cafe in Toronto. I made an order, and I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do with it, but I knew I wanted to knit. I think they only had 4 skeins in stock, and I was like, that's perfect for a slipover. I want to make a slipover, but then kind of hemmed and hawed over what to knit it, or what to knit with it. And then the Knitting Loft, they had a whole bunch of Leo and Roxy collaboration with the Knitting Loft mohairs on sale, and so that is, this same yarn is what I knit my Cumulus blouse out of, and it is so soft. Like, this mohair is ridiculously soft. Leo and Roxy is a Canadian dyer, and anyways, they had this gray on sale at the Knitting Loft. It was like $20 for 50 grams, so $10 per 25 grams for mohair that's hand dyed is amazing in my opinion. And so I ordered 2 of them to hold with this rustic Heather Sport. And again, they both just sat in my stash. I wasn't really sure what to knit with it. Part of me really liked the excuse me, the look of the Weekend V-neck Slipover by Petite knit, but that's knit at a much larger gauge. And then yeah, when the Sandnes Garn, I was like, I think I can pull it off with 3.5 millimeter needles is what the gauge is. It's a little, I don't know, it's not like super stiff, but it does have some stiffness to it. I love this combo. And then when I was watching We'll See Knits, I believe is her handle, talk about the Great Canadian Make Along, I was like, I have Canadian yarn. That 2 beautiful hand-dyed local-ish, but 2 beautiful hand-dyed Canadian yarns sitting in my stash that I could use to make something. And with, I've been craving slipovers, and then when they had the Sandnes Garn 202 or 2202 that has the Amy Slipover in it, I was like, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna swatch. I love the swatch. I think it's such a gorgeous pattern. I have this one dress that I've just been dying to have the Amy Slipover to wear over top of it because it has like nice poofy sleeves. So this is my plan for that. And again, I just feel like the slipovers will go quite quickly off my needles in comparison to a garment. So hopefully I finish this in November because I'm just like really dying to have it in my wardrobe. But if I don't, it'll get done when it gets done. But those are the two like new garment cast-ons that I want to make, is the Lonely Leftovers vest and the Amy Slipover. And so I'm trying to, I've got a few projects I need to finish up right now. And once those are done, one of which is my ruffle cardigan. Once it's done, I am allowing myself to knit on these two projects, but I'm really trying to hold myself accountable to finishing the ruffle cardigan first. Okay. The next project I want to make is another little accessory. I talked about it in one of my videos a bit, but this is the Road to China yarn by the Fiber Co. It is in the colorway Ametrine, I want to say. It is so gorgeous. Hopefully you could see that, but it is this, it has like a blue core with this purple fuzz. It's, the fiber content is 65% alpaca, 15% silk, 10% camel, and 10% cashmere. So I've never worked with camel before, and I've seldomly worked with cashmere before. I've only worked with it in blends, but it's so drapey, it's so lovely. And I think that it could make a really lovely pair of penny gloves. I only bought the one skein because it was fairly expensive, and I was debating about like a Sophie scarf, but as my one roommate said, doing mittens would allow me to always be able to feel it with my hands, which I feel like is the body part that we're most sensitive and like aware of how things feel. I don't think it's a great color for my face, but I think it would make these gorgeous, lovely penny gloves. So my plan is to knit them up 2 at a time, because we're doing that these days, and have these beautiful purpley mitts. I could also see myself gifting them to my mom if she is like, that's so beautiful, I love them so much. I'll just be like, here you go, when I see her, when I have them on. So the penny gloves in this Road to China, beautiful yarn, very luxurious. Excited to work with it, excited to try out a new fiber company to me. And I think the penny gloves by Petite knit, I should say, I think that they are such a lovely little pattern, and I think that they'll have some utility. It's funny, I was knitting outside yesterday, it was a beautiful sunny day, and I just kind of wish I had like fingerless mitts on so that I could still have some warmth on my hands, but also having the dexterity to feel my yarn and knit. So these will be cast on, a fun little project. Again, some mindless stockinette I can work on for social knitting or TV knitting or what have you. So very excited about using that new yarn. Okay, so I have 2 projects that I have significant headway on, that I would like to at least continue to work on this month. I'd love to have them, it'd be amazing if I had them both done by the end of the month, but realistically I have no idea how much time I'm going to have. We have report cards coming up and whatnot. So the first one is one that you've seen. I have put it on ice since I started my teaching job, but it is the Eva cardigan by Petite Knit, and I'm knitting it in this gray blue colorway. Absolutely love the color. The yarn is super soft, and this is in Crea Wool Deluxe 2 or something like that. Again, I'll put the information below. It's yarn that I purchased from the Knitting Loft during their summer sale. It's very lovely. I feel like it's going to pill a lot because it is so soft and I'm not holding it with anything. But I really do love cardigans. I think they have a lot of utility. I wasn't digging the back and forth knitting process, but I think it will be nice to slowly work on this. I'm not that far away from splitting for sleeves, I don't think. I have to I'm so bad at taking knitting notes. I have not recorded where I last left off, so like that's a bit of an issue on my part, but I'm gonna go figure out kind of what part of the pattern I'm on, and go from there. But again, I'm gonna finish my ruffle cardigan first, which I feel like I can finish in the next couple of days because I only have like one sleeve and the ruffle left to do. So I'm not really gonna include it in this plans video. But yeah, this is the Eva cardigan is one that I would love to make some headway on, and again, just clear my needles. The new year it's 2 months away, and I'd love to not have like super old WIPs on my needles. So I think I will also do like a Frogger finish video because I think those are fun, and I've got a lot of random WIPs. And I just want to get better at like not being totally monogamous, but having like 2 projects on the go. Again, the next one you'll see is incredibly textured, and then also having this mindless stockinette body to work on I think will be a nice contrast, also getting me to full garments, and then I have my little vests to work on as well. But I honestly think the Lonely Leftovers one will fly off super quick. So I would love the Eva cardigan will come back into the rotation, I promise you. And it's been nice to see all like the different podcasters working on their version as well, and so I'm gonna work on my version as well, and we will finish her eventually. We're gonna finish her before the end of the year, and again, I think it will just be such a lovely wearable cardigan, and I'm vibing. I can go back to knitting back and forth, at least as a little break to some texture knitting or some small knitting in the round. Okay, so the last project that I would like to work on this month is one you have never seen before, and this was a secret test knit for Sari a secret test knit for Sari Nordlund. This is the Aoide pullover, and it's one of the patterns featured in her new book, and so I test knit this in June, and Sari is really great about you don't have to finish the full garment. You just have to finish like the yoke, a sleeve, and like the collar. And so that's what I did. And then I was like, I signed up for a bajillion test knits this summer, and this one totally fell to the wayside. And then, anyways, let me show it to you. Let me just find which way is the front. Here it is. So it has not been blocked because it is still on my needles, and I didn't put it on a barber cord or anything like that. I have put it on a barber cord and tried it on, but I didn't like put it on and wash and block it yet. But the swatch, which I don't have with me, it's at the house in Kingston, has bloomed a lot. So it is this absolutely gorgeous cabled all over texture colorwork sweater, all over texture sweater. It's knit in like this nice icy blue, and now is like, I mean, it's still ridiculously warm outside, but to me, this color doesn't really scream fall, but it does scream winter to me, and being like an icy princess. Like, it's gonna be like my Elsa sweater, and I feel like I probably knit the sleeves too short because I got impatient. So they're gonna be like bracelet length sleeves as I'm looking at it now. But this pattern I honestly think is so fun. It's like I printed out the chart, and silly me, I forgot to record what line I left off on, and so this morning I was like, where would I start when I actually want to start working on this again? And it has this like double seed stitch pattern on the sides, like a nice little side panel, and then both the front and the back of the oh my god, it's not a cardigan, of the sweater have all over beautiful cables. And I really love textured knits. I love looking at them. I also do love knitting them. I'm trying to not be such a progress, like I felt like this summer I was like, I just want to pump out pattern after pattern after pattern after pattern. And now obviously I want my knits to be finished, but I do actually want to knit like the intricate knits that I'm really attracted to and just take the time to do them. And so this is one that I've started it. I'm going to finish it. I think it will be nice to do like a couple rows on it every day and just slowly have it grow. It's so beautiful. and I think it will be like a nice cozy winter knit, and I would love to have it like done for the like Christmas time. Obviously it's not in the traditional Christmas colors, but just having it be a really nice wintry icy blue color. I think it could be a great holiday sweater to wear and like show off the hard work that goes into it. And yeah, so I should say I'm knitting this in Eco Shetland worsted by Estelle. It is in 100% wool. It is, I forget what style of yarn it is, but it's really, really light. And for a worsted weight, there's 275 meters per 100 grams. This yarn I bought from Pearl & J's. It was $14 a hank or a skein. And I just, this sweater, I forget how many I bought, 5 or 6, but like, a $75 sweater made out of 100% merino wool is really great, and I really, really love this yarn. It is heathered. It has some lighter and some darker blues, hence the word heathered. I think it does a great job at letting the cables shine. I'm excited to see how it blocks out. Obviously I haven't done that yet to know how it works up top, and I currently don't have a steamer to do like a steam block with and just kind of watch the cables open up, but I think it'll be a great sweater for teaching, wearing in the winter. Again, I think having it be like my Christmas sweater, even though it's obviously not red or green or anything Christmas related, I think just that icy wintry color will be really nice. And I think it's like a nice soft goal of finishing it by Christmas, before the end of the school year, or before the end of the calendar year, and just having some more needles clear so that I can move on with some of the other projects that I would love to knit at some point. But I'm really trying to have discipline, and at least I'm okay with doing the spontaneous cast-ons for like really like a vest and under amount of knitting, but anything that is larger than a vest or really like just accessories, I do feel like I just need to finish them. So we're gonna try really hard to not cast on anything new, which also means I shouldn't be buying any more yarn because I bought a lot of yarn recently. But I'm excited to work on this November, pick it up here and there, and then if it's not, which I'm assuming it won't be finished by the end of November, I'm going to prioritize finishing the Eva cardigan first, but I would still like to slowly make some progress on this one. It'll be a December priority to finish so that I can have it to wear Christmas morning, have it blocked and washed, and all of the ends weaved in, because I am horrible at weaving in my ends. I have a few projects where there's like one or two. Why I haven't just decided to weave them all in beats me, but there's one or two ends that I'm like, oh, I just can't do one or two, and then they'll sometimes like pop out and I'm like, whoop, tuck her back. So yeah, this is the Aoide pullover. It's by Sari Nordlund. You have not seen it before because it was a secret test knit, but now that the book is out, I can show it off, the beauty of this wonderful sweater. And it definitely feels like quite proud to be like, yeah, I did all this. I knit all these crazy cables. So, and it is a fairly intuitive pattern. Like, I felt like I didn't have to look at the charts after a while, or like only reference them for, there's like a few rows where it's quite repetitive, and then there'll be like a big change row, and it's like, okay, make sure I put like my cables the right way. But yeah, I'm definitely going back to my blue phase this month, my blue and gray phase. There's a lot of blue, a lot of gray. But yeah, trying to work on some fun accessories. Again, I feel like I just wanted to pump out garments this summer, and I didn't do a lot of, it was just like so obsessive of trying to just like make one. And this November, I definitely want to work on some accessories, because I do feel like knitted mitts would be a great addition to my I was gonna say my wardrobe, but I guess accessories are part of your wardrobe. But a great addition to my wardrobe, and one that I haven't really prioritized. I have like I have many just single mitts, but I feel like doing 2 at a time, especially for like the penny gloves, I will not get stuck in second mitt syndrome. And then the socks 2 at a time I've been loving, because there's no second sock syndrome, and I do really love knitted socks, and I want to have more of them, so it's okay to not have only garments. I want to knit more accessories, so yeah. Anyways, those are my November plans. We'll see what happens with report cards and whatnot looming around the corner. But I do have a 4-day long weekend in November coming up, and I'm officially graduating from Teachers College in the middle of November. November 15th is when we'll get to walk across the stage and get my diploma. But my parents are coming down for that long weekend. We're renting like a little cottage on Lake Ontario, and I am planning for it to be just a nice, cozy knitting time, just catching up with my parents, talking with them, going for hikes, like being cozy, knitting on the couch. I think it'll be really lovely, and so I know I'll have that additional, assuming I can get all my report card comments like done, or at least like really nicely organized prior to then. I'll have those 4 days where I can just sit back, relax, knit, and hang out with my parents, which I think will be really lovely. So yeah, that is my November plans. I can't believe it is already November. I can't believe I have been full-time teaching for like over 2 months now. It's fairly crazy. I can't believe I've had this channel for almost a year now, but I only have routinely been posting since like June. So so much has happened. It's crazy what can happen in a year. I wouldn't have thought last year at this time that I would be in this place with a full-time teaching job and a monetized YouTube channel, but here we are. So I'm so grateful for every single one of you for being part of this journey with me and always being a cheerleader. Honestly, knitting people are the best people, and for the handful of crocheters out there that watch this, you are also wonderful too. But I'm going to generalize and say knitting people are the best people, or maybe I should say fiber people are the best people. Yeah, it's been so wonderful. I've loved meeting so many different new people, whether we've only connected online or for the handful of people I have met in person and that continue to support. Thank you. Thank you so much. And yeah, it's gonna be a great rest of the year. I am excited to have these pieces in my wardrobe, and I'm excited to kind of slow down on the obsession of just creating, like pumping out a full garment and actually knitting. Not that I knit things that I didn't want to knit, but I did a lot of stockinette, which I do love stockinette, but I'm craving some texture, so we're gonna try to incorporate that. Yeah, okay. Till next time. Bye.